Hello, everybody. Welcome to the NUFC 360 podcast. This is a match reaction, and we've just finished watching Newcastle 3, UFC 2, a bunch of dirty blue-wearing pricks. I'm joined by Mark just after the game. As I say, Mark, what did you make of the match?
Well, to be fair, I did have to check whether or not I was watching a UFC game or a football game because it was what you're going to expect from facing like a lower league side, like a League One side. Yes, Birmingham are top of their league and that, and they're probably doing great in that. But I think their tactic today was let's bully the big boys, and that's what they came to do. We sort of like really had none of it. Where Asula just went,
He's not exactly a pushover, is he?
No, but would they have tried that if Joe Linton was playing?
Probably not. I mean, they did seem to sort of double down on the physicality once they'd sort of in the second half, especially once we'd went ahead, and they realized they probably weren't going to win. Most of the first half, it was them actually being relatively threatening. I mean, looking at the numbers from the game, I think between the two of us, there was 8 big chances in the match, 3 of them for Birmingham, 5 for us. All 3 of Birmingham's came in the first half compared to 2 of ours. I mean, we'll start with the goals. I mean, obviously a minute in, and then Ethan Laird of a Man United background scored from a pretty poorly defended cross. I mean, it just sort of skimmed just over the top.
Really? Newcastle United in a poorly defended.
Well, yeah. I mean, as long as it's not a corner, because most of the time we actually defend pretty well from corners for the most part. But Ethan Laird scored from what was, Emil Kraft didn't really get close enough to it. I mean, he is a bit shorter, so I mean, a couple inches taller, maybe he gets to it. We then get maybe one of the dodgiest goals I've seen in a while. We'll start with Will Asula, as we mentioned it before. Beautiful touch from Will Asula, turned his man, ran down the side with a lot of real pace and real directness, put the ball in, and it sort of came off Willock, and it from the broadcast, I don't think it looked like a goal. I don't think it crossed the line. There's no goal line technology in League One for God knows why. There's enough money in the pyramid to fix that. But no goal line technology, no VAR because it's the early rounds of the FA Cup. And we equalized, and then 5 minutes later, another goalmouth scramble. A second assist, by the way, for Will Asula. He came out of that game with 2 assists. And then Callum Wilson sort of raised a foot and just poked the ball into the net.
But the second assist, he probably didn't want.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I mean, he should have scored it, but he couldn't get the ball out from under his feet.
And also with regards to the first goal, Joe Willock and controversy over a goal, whether or not the ball's over the line, that's
his bread and butter, isn't it? Yeah, I mean, after those 2 goals, obviously we went up. I mean, it was disputable as to whether or not we really deserved to be up.
To be fair, how the linesman guessed, and I would say, when you look at it, he's nowhere.
He's not on the line. He's a good few yards away from being on the actual byline.
He's made an educated guess. Whether or not he's an Aston Villa fan,
maybe he might be. And then, but 14 minutes after we get the goal to take the lead through Wilson, Tomoki Iwata pulls out, I think, one of the goals of the season that I've seen this in any competition. The ball's put across, and he takes it on the half volley, and he just leathers it. I don't think there's really anything that could have been done about that goal. It was struck perfectly. I can't remember who it was who tried to get. I think it was Longstaff, maybe, who tried to get in the way of it in the actual goal mouth before Pope can get across. But that was undefendable. I don't really think there's no one to blame on that.
We know the other mark would have been saying Dubravka would have got it.
I would have. But then Dubravka wouldn't have made a couple of the saves that Pope made in this game. Bald people being frauds in footballs is nothing new. So Mark having a bad opinion about a Newcastle player.
We had 3 of them officiating the game against Arsenal. But with their equaliser, it is one of those ones where you do look at it and you go, you're disappointed that we've conceded, but you look at that and go, I'm not being
hell of a goal.
I don't think anyone is stopping that. It was probably going to be up there with like a goal of a season.
It should be. It was a brilliant strike.
It was.
It's the kind of thing I can absolutely see it being like goal of the round, as Shearer said at halftime, or like a goal of the month contender.
Do you know, it just had the height on it, and you could see like it was going in height, and it actually went top corner. Like it was
a
no way.
But after that, I mean, obviously it was a bit rough of a first half for us. We didn't play particularly well. I think there's a number of players who won't be particularly happy with their performances in the first half.
I think nine changes can like have
it does, and we've seen this season before how a load of changes has affected us, and we've played really badly this season when we've made significant changes. I think Byrne didn't have his best game. I think a big part of that is, you know, the lack of connection with a number of the players in front of him and around him.
I mean, he didn't have Fabian next to him.
No, I think another thing that didn't help
the other side.
Yeah, and I think thing that didn't help is going up against a team who they might be League One. Birmingham are too good for League One. They shouldn't be there in the first place. It was really bad decision making that got at management level that got them into like League One from the Championship. And, you know, it was 18 games unbeaten before today. So, you know, they were well up for it. You could tell they were playing confidently. A lot of things were coming off for them in the first half.
Yeah, but Birmingham were basically the Manchester City of League One.
Yeah, well, when you spend the money that you do on Jay Stansfield, you know, I think it was an EFL record or something. I can't remember exactly the amount. It was a lot of money.
Yeah.
You expect them to play well, and he did. I mean, he should have really scored. Had that goal, that shot from a header that went just outside, just wide of the goal. He probably should have scored that. You could see his movement is clearly beyond that of a League One player. Yeah, definitely. I think the second half was definitely a different story. I mean, obviously, we made the change for Bruno going out at that halftime to Sandro Tonali coming in, which did have a big impact on the second half.
I think that was pre-planned, and I think we said in the commentary that it looked as if it was sharing the workload. Right, Bruno, you do the first half, Sandro, you do the second half.
Yeah, definitely. It did feel like that. I think Dan Byrne went off in the 55th along with Callum Wilson. I think Byrne was showing signs of maybe having picked up a knock of some kind.
Yeah, it looked like
Cher came in. Maybe, yeah. And then Jacob Murphy came in for Callum Wilson. I think Wilson overall had an okay showing. Obviously, he got his goal in the first half, and then he put himself about quite well. I think the second half is when it all sort of started to come apart for the ref. I think there were 7 yellow cards in the game as a whole, 4 of them in the second half. You know, there was a lot of fouls going around, and a lot of particularly against Birmingham. I think they had 3 yellow cards in the space of 9 minutes, and then they made a few changes. I think you mentioned in the group chat that I think the 3 players that went off all were on yellow, so they brought on 3 more players who could pick up fouls.
And funny enough, yeah, one of the players who came on, which I think was it Lyndon Dykes, who came on, and the first thing he did was put one in on Emil
Kraft. Yeah, I mean it's Lyndon Dykes as well. Like anyone who's watched Lyndon Dykes before, especially the likes of QPR and whatnot, knows that you don't bring on Lyndon Dykes for him to play a really clean, technically proficient game. You know, he's a big physical guy who will put himself about, and anyone who's watched him play for Scotland knows that he's basically used as a battering ram.
I was going to say it's typical Scott.
Oh, definitely. I think Jay Stansfield going off did help us a bit. I mean, his movement was causing problems for Kraft and Byrne. And then 82nd minute, Joe Willock, after some relatively good build-up, I think we really started to put our stamp on the game in the second half, took control of it really well. And then, Longstaff got I think it was an attempted shot, realistically, that then went.
Let's say a lucky touch.
Let's say a lucky touch that then landed for Joe Willock, who then away for his second of the game. Realistically, 1 goal and 1 dodgy goal. I think Willock got himself a man of the match performance. Would there be anyone else on the pitch that you would have said deserved man of the match more than Willock? I mean, everyone grew into the game quite well.
Yeah, it's difficult to say. Joe Willock, for me, and I've said it in the group chat, for me, I saw signs of the old Joe Willock creeping in. I think there was one, I think in the first half, where he started on the wing, took like 4 Birmingham players on in there. Yeah, running through and then passed it to Asula, and Asula probably should have finished on there. And that's where you're going, that's a bit more like the junior. And I think that game would do no end of good in terms of the confidence for him.
Yeah, definitely.
Have we found our solution to the right wing? Because I thought Asula looked really, really good on the wing. Obviously, he was brought in as a striker, and he can probably do the job as a striker, but maybe Eddie's seeing something in him where he can go, well, actually, you could probably play both positions,
Well, at Sheffield United, he could play across the line. And I think, I think you're right. For that first sort of hour, the first 55 minutes, he looked really bright. He was, he took some really good touches, some really good turns with the ball at his feet, took guys on really well and caused them a lot of problems. He was also throwing his weight around, which they did not respond to very well. He was really unfortunate to get booked in the first half, at the end of the first half, for what really wasn't, it was some chippiness directed at him. He didn't really respond to anything.
He got booked for being class.
Yeah, basically the ref had lost control of the game late in the first half, and
just went, I'll just book them both. Like I said, even in the second half, where he sort of like let the game go on and then blew up like 10 seconds later, and that for the foul, and you just like he was
on Tonali.
Yeah, he was so indecisive in a lot of those things. Yes, he did pull up a lot of things, but I think he let other things go as well. I've got to say, I think Pope had, and I know he's conceded 2 goals, but I do still think Pope had a decent game.
Couldn't really do much about one of them, and the other one was a deflection, a pretty nasty deflection at that.
Yeah, I actually think Louis Miley had a really good game as well.
I agree. He would have been my man of the match if not for the 2 goals that Willock scored.
Yeah, and do you know what? It's actually great when you look at it and you think, we've made 9 changes, and there's still some of these players. And it is like what Shua said in the pre-match. So he said these players will be coming in going, well, actually, do you know what? I want to be involved in that final.
Yep.
And that's the thing. And do you know what? Yeah, this had the markings of an upset where we just didn't have the goal because we'd focused on the League Cup semi-final. Yeah. I think it was probably the latter. Yeah, it was a tough game. And do you know what? As a neutral, that's a really entertaining cup tie. Where a lot of entertainment. You weren't really bored at any point during it. But we've navigated that, and this is probably a game where the old Newcastle.
We would have lost. We would have lost that. Even a couple seasons ago, we would have lost that game.
Yeah, and it just shows the difference. Yeah. Do you know, it's one of those ones where realistically, and I said that, I went, would going out the cup be the worst thing? Obviously, we don't want to, but you're looking at that and thinking, well, look, we've got to the League Cup final. Yeah, keeping players fit is
if you're being a little bit pragmatic and cynical about it, and if you want to, from a pure squad management standpoint, it would be not the worst thing if we don't have extra cup games to worry about
for the league. Because we are with a limited number of players, as we know, because of the situations with the letters of which I'm not going to say because I don't really want to go into it on here. But that is the case, and we're doing that, and you look at that and you go, well, actually, we're in a cup final, we're still in the FA Cup, and we're still in the hunt for the Champions League, and we haven't really made what I'd class as a starting 11 signing for 3 windows. So hats off to Eddie, and I think it's just one of those ones where you look at it and just think, and back in November, when we'd had like a little bit of the bad run in that, and everyone was questioning him. I don't think there's anyone questioning him now.
No, I agree. I think you're right. I also think the one little bit of shame for me from that game was that we had 17-year-old Sean Neve on the bench. Isak came on with like 10 seconds to go even, and I think he should have given him a debut. Other than that, I mean, the next thing to do is it's just basically this point on. It's just on to the next game.
Well, we're going up the leagues and we're going up the beats. So we've had Bromley, we've had Birmingham,
Champions League qualification, and a domestic cup double. Next up Burnley, and then Bournemouth. I think was the suggestion beforehand.
Yeah, exactly.
But other than that, thank you all very much for watching. If you like the content, please leave a comment down below about who your man of the match would be, and just how awful was the referee, and was that first goal actually a goal? And other than that, give us a subscribe if you deem it so worthy of such. And it is on to Man City. Mark, thank you for joining me. And we will see you all sometime midweek for the preview for the Man City match. Take care.